But we are talking about, Muhammad Ali, Antonio Inoki.
Yeah.
Because June 26th was, it's not really like precise 50 years, 48 years.
Almost 50.
Yeah, 48 years ago, 1976. I kind of remember, just like it was yesterday. I wouldn't say yesterday, but everybody, every kid in Japan, I think, had a similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we can talk about that.
It was at Budokan.
It was at the Budokan, yeah. Yeah, I was 9th grade.
So all the boys in your grade liked it a lot?
Not just all the kids in basically junior high and high school. It was actually Friday night primetime program in New York, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I didn't understand why it had to be on Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. Crazy, right? And back in 1976 in Japan, we had school on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Like half day until noonish, not a whole program, but there was school, like a morning school on Saturday. Now it's Saturday and Sunday, it's a 2 days off and everything. But the way back in 1976, there was school on Saturday morning. And just as soon as this morning, period is over, every kid in school ran home, and yeah, to be actually, it's like a 10:50 in the morning, like 11 o'clock in the morning. That meant 9:50 at night in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So it was for the American television, But not exactly television. It was actually there was no such thing as pay-per-view yet. It was closed circuit, and the technology closed circuit is pretty new then, right?
I can't think of many things before that were on closed circuit.
Yeah, in wrestling, actually, like a historical closed circuit program was Freddie Blassie against John Tallis from Los Angeles, But other than that, yeah, it's got Olympic, and let alone, pay-per-view wasn't the technology yet, and the closed circuit, and what they were saying is that the satellite beamed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the satellite dish or anything like that, it was beamed back and forth from the States in Japan. The only time they used such technology was for the Olympic or presidential election or something like that, right? Yeah. And they were saying, according to the one source, it was beamed, or that the closed circuit was aired, like in movie theaters, 250 cities in America, and some form they said 170 cities. So it has to be between either 170 cities in America or 250 cities. It depends on what you read, but it was all over America. And it was basically closed circuit programming for America because of Muhammad Ali, probably.
Sure. I mean, of course.
More so than Antonio Inoki, yeah.
Well, nobody knew who Antonio Inoki was, really.
Up until then.
Outside of pro wrestling.
Even for pro wrestling crowd in America, Antonio Inoki was still relatively unknown up until that day. And even if they didn't know the name Antonio Inoki, years after that, the Japanese wrestler who fought Muhammad Ali. Oh, that guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, it was for American programming and mostly movie theater. But in Houston, Texas, at the Houston Coliseum, the main event at the Houston Coliseum was Terry Funk, then NWA champion, against Rocky Johnson. That's, Dwayne Johnson's dad. NWA title match main event. Then after the main event, the movie feed come in and show Muhammad Ali and Inoki. In Chicago, there was Vern Gagne against Nick Bockwinkel, and some like a bruiser and crusher against Big Bad Bobby Duncombe and so and so. In Los Angeles Olympic Auditorium, there's another card to feature. And also at the Shea Stadium in New York City. The feature was actually return of Bruno Sammartino against Stan the Lariat Hansen. and the mixed fight before there was a term such as MMA. It wasn't invented until late 90s into 2000. So at Shea Stadium, the main attraction was return of Bruno Sammartino against Stan the Lariat Hansen. Months before that at the Madison Square Garden storyline, but it was an accident. But still, Bruno Sammartino broke his neck, and it was basically storyline done by younger Stan Hansen's lariat, but it was main attraction at the Shea Stadium was two matches: Bruno Sammartino against Stan Hansen, and mixed fight before there was such term as MMA, the heavyweight boxing, not the champion, but the heavyweight famous boxer Chuck Wepner against Andre the Giant. Yeah. So those are two things. And at the Shea Stadium, right in the middle of second base or something, you put a big screen to show that live beam from Japan, Tokyo, Japan, Muhammad Ali against Antonio Inoki. Then actually, like in Vern Gagne's, tried to switch that into Bruno against Muhammad Ali. That never happened, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And actually, the promoter who was in charge of the American promotion and all the closed circuit thing, it was then Junior, today's Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Yeah. Interesting, huh? And all over the country. But little did we know in Japan that why would they do that on Saturday morning? You know what I'm saying?
It was the beginning.
That was Friday night primetime program. Yeah, Friday night, Saturday, Friday night primetime programming from East Coast. But because it was, closed circuit, new technology, closed circuit business, the whole thing was real huge. Not boxing business, but wrestling business, which Muhammad Ali was involved. It's so huge, right? See, Muhammad Ali at the time, 34, Antonio Inoki being 33. And it was 2 years after Muhammad Ali's super famous Kinshasa that the Muhammad Ali got the title back from, George Foreman fight. It was like a super, super famous. And they did that, they did the closed circuit for that too, because that's from like the Congo, the African country, they did that 3:00 in the morning over there for prime time in America. Yeah. And books and books been written about this Ali, Foreman fight. What I'm trying to get to is that 1976 version of Muhammad Ali was obvious in his prime. Yeah, very much so. And 34 years old, Inoki 33. And what they were saying was professional boxing's world heavyweight champion against pro wrestling's world heavyweight champion collides. At the time, Antonio Inoki was NWF world heavyweight champion of New Japan. Yeah. I mean, years before IWGP. Yeah.
And that was kind of the calling card for New Japan back then. That was what it was all about, right? The strong style challenges. Is my strong style better than your boxing or than your other martial art?
Yeah, but that's something like could never actually take place. You know what I'm saying? You can talk about it. A wrestler would actually have a fight against Muhammad Ali like a comic book fight, right? It actually started a year prior to that, 1975, and that the Muhammad Ali had a title defense at the Kuala Lumpur or somewhere in Asia, okay? And wherever Muhammad Ali went, the press, right? Photographers and reporters, and one little comment Muhammad Ali made, on his way to Asia, that is there any Asian Oriental fighter who could fight me? I mean, that's just one of the Muhammad Ali jargon, right? I mean, she talked, always. But it's a useless trivia, but Muhammad Ali's all those, like, almost like wrestling promo thing, it was inspired by professional wrestling. Yeah. But there's two stories to it. I don't want to get, off track, today's subject, Antonio Inoki against Muhammad Ali, but it is very well known that Muhammad Ali's those promo, like he talked, right? I mean, like, none of the professional boxer was giving promo, but Muhammad Ali was natural, But he admitted, and he was telling people that he was inspired by professional wrestling. And all these years up until then, he thought it was inspired by a black and white TV wrestling that he watched as a kid. And Ali himself thought it was Gorgeous George. Okay. But Ali growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, right? Unless, I mean, only rich people had TV sets, right?
Wasn't widespread yet, not until later on.
Yeah, because he was born in 1943, and war was 1942. When he was 3 years old, World War II ended, and TV boom starts like 1948, 49. And the very first television star, Gorgeous George, right? But Gorgeous George was basically based in California. And there was, not like your NBC, ABC, CBS affiliates and all these, local stations around the country. All the other local station and network affiliates, that doesn't start till 50s and mid 50s, So nobody was sure that what Muhammad Ali actually thought he watched. He thought it was Gorgeous George, but nobody could confirm that because Gorgeous George's TV didn't quite get to Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
Then he kind of, start talking, but he really watched this blonde hair, black and white TV, blonde hair professional wrestler was giving promo, right? And he remembered that, but wasn't necessarily a big wrestling fan. And he assumed he was Gorgeous George, but it could have been Freddie Blassie. Same type, blonde hair, same era, and same kind of early wrestling promo, and including Dave Meltzer and other, historian and researcher that where did Ali actually watch wrestling television? And they pretty much concluded that Ali must have watched this, when he was traveling with amateur boxing. See, he represented the 1960 London Olympic and got the, gold medal, right? Mm-hmm. Well, he grew up in poor family and he probably wasn't traveling until then, right? And he watched television on some Las Vegas hotel room and insisted that that's where he got the idea of like talking to camera and whatever. I mean, would it come up? I mean, like off his head that he just gave promo because it's natural, right? But he was inspired by this blonde hair professional wrestler in Las Vegas. That seemed like that year and that around the time, the main event was which is interesting. The main event of that television that night seems to be Freddie Blassie against Gorgeous George. No conclusion.
Wow.
He might have watched Gorgeous George. He might have watched Freddie Blassie. The reason I'm talking about this was that 1976 Muhammad Ali Antonio Inoki fight, WWF at the time, Vince McMahon, dad and son. Vince McMahon Sr. put Freddie Blassie with Muhammad Ali on the plane, and as he landed on Haneda Airport, Freddie Blassie start marching and start giving, promo, right? Then just as much as Muhammad Ali would. And those two spent time together all week in the Kyo Plaza Hotel in Shinjuku. Then Freddie Blassie insisted that what you watched as a kid must be me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all those years that Muhammad Ali thought he watched Gorgeous George wrestling, early Gorgeous George television, and thought he was so sure that it was Gorgeous George. But going back to this timeline and where he was and where Freddie Blassie was, and Freddie Blassie was so sure that what you have watched was Freddie Blassie but no conclusion. And leave it to the, more research.
Sure.
But the Freddie Blassie was Gorgeous George gone, Freddie Blassie gone, now Muhammad Ali gone, Antonio Inoki's gone, and it will be forever to debate, huh?
Yeah, but also I think it makes sense he would say that, right? Because Fred Blassie, Gorgeous George, Nature Boys later
Very
on,
similar.
it was kind of that's the
Yeah.
idea. Like it's easy to
Yeah,
misremember.
Bleach. Yeah, yeah. If you're not a serious wrestling fan, just TV viewer,
Mm-hmm.
wrestling was always popular programming early on television, and when the TV became color, it was pretty popular, and the cable TV came along, wrestling again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pay-per-view programming in 90s, wrestling was killer contents. Now that the wrestling is shifting into internet streaming, you see, wrestling has always been on top of this technology.
Yeah,
Agree?
because it wants
Yeah.
to distribute to the most amount of people, so it has to be kind of in front.
Yeah, but why not rock concert? Why not rock concert? Why not boxing? Why not football? You know, it's some seems to me it's always wrestling.
Well, the
Uh,
production will always
TV,
have another level of control
yeah,
versus
and
sports.
the television demo. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Yeah, demography and TV viewer right between white collar and blue color. That's cannot cater to all blue collar audience, but it's not for all white collar audience. TV is for wide variety of audience. For some reason, wrestling always get on TV station, always cable station, and then pay per view market. Now it's all the wrestling is moving towards live streaming on your laptop or even a
Mm-hmm.
smartphone. And wrestling is such. But get back to this, Muhammad Antonio Inoki against Muhammad Ali fight because it's more important now than it actually was
I
then.
think so.
It was important and a real big thing then, but it was actually for not more educated audience for mixed martial arts or what would happen if professional boxer and professional wrestler went against each other, what would be the rules? And actually, like 40 years after the actual fight, I brought this today.
Oh, nice.
It's 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 a DVD, 146-minute, all 15 round, no editing. First round to 15 round of Inoki Muhammad Ali fight, and TV special a few days before that. The TV Asahi had a basically press conference and signing contracts
Yeah.
thing, but it was interesting enough to have this network primetime special just for that press conference,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in it, and all 15 round. 2014, it finally came out with this booklet, this all this booklet and the reproduction of them
Poster.
1976 posters because it was not just for wrestling magazine and sports pages, sports paper that if for the younger audience over there up there out there that if you live in Japan, every train station, subway station, there's a newsstand,
Sure.
right? And you pick up tabloids, the
Newsdays
evening paper.
or New Days or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, kiosks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Those
the
schools.
magazines
Yeah.
are everywhere. Newspapers are everywhere.
More reading oriented people, I guess,
Mm.
basically. And on the plane, on a train and subways, well, not anymore. Even middle age, that the businessman, they just what they have is smartphone on the train and subway now. But all through, I don't know, post-war, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, into 90s, until maybe 5, 6 years ago, people are reading newspaper on trains and
Hmm.
subways, right? every paper, every tabloid, every sports pages and evening news and magazine, or even comic book, like a shonen magazine, time or another. And that comic book covered all the stories, leading into Inoki Ali fight. It was going to be the greatest thing ever. Your hero, Antonio Inoki, the wrestler, would be fighting, Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer or greatest athlete ever lived. And there was the cartoon illustration of Inoki giving suplex or something to Muhammad Ali, and they were expected that all the full contact match would happen. And it was iffy situation, right? Because Inoki all along was going to have mixed fight, and it was more difficult and like close to impossible to actually convince Muhammad Ali people to actually come into Japan and have a match against professional wrestler. And obviously professional boxing, like commissions and, WBA, the WBC, that there was no IBF or World Boxing Organization or anything like that, just two groups, WBC and WBA. Anyhow, they don't sanction anything but boxing, and they don't want boxer to be participating in anything but boxing. You know what I'm saying? And very, very boxing people, very, very strict, and almost it came out from Inoki's, like the top of the head idea. Ali made comment publicly at the press conference. Is there any Asian or Oriental fighter who can fight me? Right? Mm-hmm. And it was nothing to it. It just a conversation piece at the one press conference, right? And then it made news in Japan. And Inoki read it and said, we could do this. You know what I'm saying? And then but nobody knew how to get a hold of Ali's, like a core Ali people. I mean, like layers and layers of network of people until you actually get to Muhammad Ali Ham. And the first group of people in Japan, I mean, Inoki's people and TV Asahi tried to get to was like a Nations Islam or something, that Ali's church.
The Nation of Islam, it was an organization that he was a part of back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Based out of the United States.
Cassius Clay. Yeah. Cassius Clay changed name and he was baptized into Islam, Muslim. And that was a church Japanese people first got to, probably like hoping that you actually get to Ali's manager or close associates and all these things. And actually, Inoki's one of the manager went to, Ali's press conference and brought the letter from Inoki on the fight. Thought it was stunt, right? Stunt, nothing more than stunt. And Ali's people told, Inoki's people that, all right, $6 million. $6 million. You know why it was $6 million?
$6 million man.
It was, there you go. Like a joke.
Yeah.
$6 million was outrageous amount of money back in 1970, right? Yeah. So anything over 6 million, okay, 6 million and $1. And Inoki decided to come up with it. You know what I'm saying?
He said it to give it a little more context. There was also a show on CBS back then. It was kind of a superhero show, $6 Million Man, Steve Austin, not the one we're more familiar with,
not wrestler
before him. And it was a hit show.
Of course.
I think
$6 Million Man, the Bionic Woman, all those shows were so huge.
Yeah, before.
But the $6 million was a connotation.
Yeah.
$6 million if you pay,
Exactly.
So that was like a image of outrageous amount of money.
Right. So it was just an off-color comment. He just made it on the fly.
Because it wasn't going to happen. Yeah. It wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't a serious comment, but Inoki took it seriously.
And Inoki and TV Asahi made an offer. Right. All right. We'll be paying $6 million and $1. Then they thought it was, and still then, Muhammad Ali and his people thought we're going to Japan for like a fun exhibition show. Boxer against boxer against professional wrestler, like a big TV show, it's nothing serious. Yeah. So like I wouldn't say easy money, but kind of easy money kind of feeling, right? Yeah. But Ali would not travel alone, much like boxers and MMA fighter. They have whole entourage of people to travel with.
Sure.
Huh? And Inoki and TV Asahi would be covering all the expenses, so bring your people over. And actually, it was the Vince McMahon Jr. then, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, at the time, he was like early 30s? Yeah.
Doing live
he was still
broadcasting.
that Vince, yeah.
Introducing the television
wasn't
show.
As big.
Yeah. The bell bottoms,
that
the
Vince.
feathered hair, yeah.
And the yellow sports jacket or something.
Spiffy.
Yeah, but it was not a NWA type wrestling promoters or AWA. It had to come from New York City, huh? And actually, it was a time Antonio Inoki's New Japan Pro Wrestling and Vince McMahon Sr.'s WWF had a partnership. Like match made in heaven. American side of the promoter and the production, all WWF. And we'll be doing the live satellite dish, satellite feed from Tokyo. And it was like a huge business, and it was going to take place finally. And months before that, Inoki wearing this, the kimono jacket, and had a big press conference at the Plaza Hotel in New York, and Ali shows up, and, I think even at that point, Muhammad Ali thought it was show, right? Yeah, like a big spectacle, like a movie filming, like Muhammad Ali and this strong, superstar Japanese wrestler against boxer in one ring and doing an exhibition.
Yeah. It's a great example of what people didn't or did realize what was professional wrestling. What was their idea of it? They didn't really have any idea of it, I think is the point in this situation.
Oh, they thought wrestling was always fake.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But they didn't exactly know.
Yeah. Somebody was crazy enough to be in the ring.
Didn't know,
get in
they
the
didn't
ring
know anything really. Just saying it's fake doesn't really say anything. It just shows that there's a process. There's so many different processes actually, and it exposes the kind of general ignorance about pro wrestling to what people were thinking at that time, right?
And also, like, underestimating the size of wrestling fan. All over the world.
Sure, that they're not just in the United States or something.
Yeah, not just that, but the boxing people always feel that boxing is way above wrestling.
It's superior because it's a sport. They say.
Well,
that's what they argue. They
Yeah,
argue. But you got to realize
Yeah.
in the States versus Japan, the
the
progress.
Japan has general consensus too. Wrestling is a show,
right? Because certain things happened over the years that didn't happen in Japan. That it was allowed to grow in Japan without certain things. There's a couple things that happened that just changed the trajectory. Of
and also Japanese wrestling had pretty unique, original evolution to it, right?
Yeah, and
different kind of make believe.
Mm-hmm. And it tries to. I would say it sticks to the original formula, even still to this day, more so than most other kinds of wrestling, aside from lucha libre, which I think it's a different beast. So
different beast. Yeah, different.
You can't even really talk about. I want to bring it up, but it's also like there's so much more to it that it's like I'm not an expert on that.
But even within the wrestling, but there was a people like Bruno Sammartino, the people in New York believed in.
New York hero.
Yeah, and also
Pennsylvania hero.
There is not another professional sport that comes back every 4 weeks and pack up Madison Square Garden every month, 12 months in a row, always over 20,000 people to watch either Bruno Sammartino or Pedro Morales, all the way to Bob Backlund to Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling is so underestimated, but it's always been popular. popular. But this was like a different twist. A champion, a crazy enough, this Japanese martial arts style professional wrestler challenging Muhammad Ali in his prime. And Inoki crazy enough to actually step in the ring, right, with Muhammad Ali. But Ali's people still were thinking that we're going to Japan to have this exhibition. And even after Ali's people came to Japan and they asked the interpreter and the TV Asahi producer, when are we going to have rehearsal?
Right.
They said, no, there is not going to be rehearsal. You're working, right? Like, no, there is not going to be any rehearsal. We're just going there. Then there was a Korakuen Hall that the open sparring, that the practice, another TV thing that the Inoki showing, like working out with then young Fujiwara, the Osamu Kido, the young Kengo Kimura, the actually doing the wrestling in the ring, Ali watching, and Inoki was doing the chops and kicks and all these things. It's like, I'm not going to let this guy do this. I mean, Ali's people and Ali himself. I'm not going to, no karate kicks or chops, that I'm not going to let him do that. Then there was actually like serious rule meeting because boxing rules to wrestling rules, what can be done or what's allowed and what's not allowed, But the boxing people felt that if wrestling, I mean, even if it's a professional wrestling, if you could get a hold boxers and grab the waist and take them down on the mat, or something, what I'm saying? I'm not going to let that happen. Then no more, boxers are striking, right? But they would not let Antonio Inoki use his karate chop or headbutting or, no crazy submission.
No strike to the throat.
Nothing on the mat. Yeah. Or the striking to the groin or something.
No standing kick.
No, you have to have your knees on them. They came up with all kinds of stuff. You're not gonna have a boxer on the mat. Then wrestlers can't wrestle. You know what I'm saying? And if it goes into the mat on the ground, then the wrestling, only 20 seconds allowed. Both, competitor has to get up. It's all, every little details was written, but it was not open to public. Isn't that weird? That the Mr. Keiichi Funabashi, who called the match, in Japan, the play-by-play, he remembers it vividly that he was told what's basic rules are, but it was never given what Inoki can do and cannot do and what Ali can do and cannot do. They have to call the match sort of like a play by ear kind of thing. It's so weird. But Inoki's whole purpose was to, whatever that Ali's people were saying about the rules or let him do this and that or let him do this, get Muhammad Ali in that ring, because three times during the whole course of the week, Ali's people was going to pack up and leave. We ain't doing it, right? But they sensed it. It was not the exhibition or some kind of show that they thought it was going to be. When it came to Japan, all these wrestling people and the TV station and the press, photographer, and just the whole environment, it looks pretty serious, right? And they were all ready to leave, but you cannot leave. And this was like the compromise that, please get in the ring because we sold the ticket. We were doing a TV show and it's all just, you cannot cancel this. And then you have to listen to what Ali people said, because the purpose was to get Ali actually be in the ring, and have actually the match has to take place. And apparently both guys were, pretty afraid of, Inoki's crazy enough, but Ali's one punch could kill him too, right?
Probably. That's safe to say.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
Yeah. Like a boxer's Muhammad Ali's punch. That's why Inoki was never close enough to get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? or you cannot stand and kick. That's why he would sit on the mat, on the back almost, but you can kick on the ground. So it's like he came up with the idea. Later on, it was named Ali Kick, huh? You know, that you lay on the ground, but you aim, at his knee, like, kicking and keep kicking, and that was the only contact, Then Inoki was facing this way because no punch from right hand. Inoki was always facing this way, so Ali's left jab made the contact once during the 15th round. But now we didn't have educated eyes for this kind of fight because actual mixed martial arts was there, though. You know what I'm saying?
The seeds of it.
Yeah, and now that you can watch this all 15 rounds of it,
15 long
with
rounds.
more yeah, pretty much, and it was bashed. It's just next morning, every single regular newspaper, Asahi, Yomiuri, Mainichi, every single paper is like a 15 round of nothing. What a joke! It's like nobody. I mean, not the real journalist, but the newspaper journalist, even sports writer from that, real big newspaper didn't understand a thing of what actually took place. In the real fight situation, first contact will pretty much, determine the outcome because real fight can be 10 seconds of it,
Sure.
right?
Of course.
Yeah. And Inoki was careful enough not to get hit. Ali was far enough, and there was a couple times, round 6 and round 8, round 12, that the Inoki actually, had a wrestling, taco dive and got the, both Ali's, legs and on the mat. And Inoki tried to elbow him, and Ali got up and said, I told you not to use elbow. I said, it's on the film, Then Ali's people, furious, got in the ring, and the referee was special, very special in that match. That Judo Jean LaBelle, who probably he was the only person who could actually call it, knowing, wrestling, martial arts, judo background, and knows boxing too. And also Hollywood stunt person. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is no better person than the Judo Jean LaBelle. And he called it right in the middle. And like he was the one who had to watch everything that what was happening in the ring, what was not happening in the ring. But actually, it is very, very exciting to watch that very same footage. I was ninth grade, like hoping that the first contact, Inoki's big drop kick or hit, Muhammad Ali's head or something, or pick him up in the body slam and suplex him something, right? None of those things happened. But Ali's punch didn't connect either. So it was like nothing really happened because that's what it would look like in the real fight. Huh? It took us 30 plus years to figure that out, Yeah. And it was reevaluated and all came to like, this is what would, what would look like in a situation of wrestler against boxer with no high spot planned, What was very interesting. But the ninth grade, myself ran home on Saturday, noon, and all the kids ran home from the junior high, and they actually had the live feed, in the 11 o'clock, 12 noon into 1 o'clock, all 15 round. The very same night, Saturday night, 7:30 to 9, that they aired the same match on Japanese prime time too. So I was able to watch noon show and night show twice. I still didn't understand the thing, But it was a kind of TV program that the non-wrestling fan would watch because Muhammad Ali against Antonio Inoki, and it's not a wrestling show. It was like a special programming. It's like something special is happening that day. Yeah. Everybody
like a
watched
Super Bowl.
Everybody. Bigger than that, probably, because Super Bowl, I never watched it.
Or maybe a few years ago, do you remember the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather? That was
yeah. Floyd
closed
Mayweather, but
circuit.
it was, yeah, but it was MMA against, UFC against, retired
Well, it's the
boxer.
same idea, isn't it?
It was,
Mixed
yeah,
fight.
but Muhammad Ali was the world heavyweight boxing champion. Then, I'm real that the Muhammad Ali's prime time, still heavyweight champion of the world. And it was crazy that boxing people always hated it. As big as Ali was, not as a boxer or a star, as a champion, even as a person, why would go to Japan and do that, right? I mean, like downgrading himself, to be involved in pro wrestling or something. And in Japan, as seriously, it was like Antonio Inoki's moment. That Inoki was huge star though, but that was the day that became he was really larger than life and bigger than movie star, bigger than any rock star, bigger than any baseball star, that bigger than John Baba, right? That he was beyond wrestling that day.
Hmm.
Yeah, really, because we have to understand what Muhammad Ali meant back in 1976,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he was in his prime, and just 2 years after his Kinshasa's, miracle, Muhammad Ali against George Foreman fight, which was his biggest victory and also biggest fight in his pretty much history. And we have to understand how big Muhammad Ali was. And Ali was crazy enough. Antonio Inoki was crazy enough to actually do that in June 26th of 1976. Yeah. Then they became friends, and like fast forward another 20 years, 1995, that the Pyongyang, North Korea,
Mm-hmm.
Inoki put together a 2-day peace festival, April 28th, April 29th, that 1995. 190,000 people each day. So like a 380,000. That's crazy, right? But that's what they were. 380,000 people in 2 days at the Pyongyang's Mayday Stadium. They promoted a wrestling card. First night main event, Shinya Hashimoto against Scott Norton. Second night, the main event was the only time and the last time that Inoki and Ric Flair fought against each other. Inoki against Ric Flair, and still to this day, North Korea and Japan has no diplomacy. That the Japanese passport, you cannot go to North Korea. It was when Inoki was the upper house parliament, the active politician and not retired wrestler. He put together peace festival, and Inoki was the only person who could go back and forth with Japan and North Korea freely at the time. And Eric Bischoff talked about this a lot, right? Because he wanted to make it look like New Japan and WCW put together a package and went to North Korea. Nah, it was Antonio Inoki's, promoting it. That Antonio Inoki brought the entire New Japan roster, including New Japan American, like Road Warrior Hawk, Scott Norton, Wild Pegasus Chris Benoit, and Too Cold Scorpio. And WCW wrestler who was brought was Steiner Brothers and Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff with them, right? And they aired a mini pay-per-view package in America. But what was important was that Antonio Inoki was able to bring Muhammad Ali into North Korea for that event.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was like, bringing American hero Muhammad Ali into North Korean turf, only Antonio Inoki could do, huh?
I think so. He did a
Yeah.
lot of. He pulled off a lot of magic. I think he did
through the year.
He did things that
unthinkable.
Only he could do it. Only he.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
I think so.
That's the kind of person he was. There's a realness to
all the way till his passing. Up until a couple days before his passing, up to his technology, he was running his YouTube programming.
That's right. The YouTube channel, the Inoki channel.
Yeah. 79-year-old Antonio Inoki running a YouTube channel up until just days before his passing.
I think he was even on national TV a couple days before.
Right. That TV 24-hour TV marathon thing for the charity.
Always on, always working, always at work.
In public eyes, yes. Yeah. But this, they weren't talking about this, like evaluating like this way back in 1970s or even 80s. But after this MMA thing, that Muhammad Ali against Inoki fight became pretty much the beginning. I mean, as a study goes, beginning of what it's called MMA now. Yeah. So Inoki was, in a way, always pioneering. And some fantasy, some fiction, some non-fiction, right? Because Inoki was old-fashioned wrestling promoter and wrestler that all the way till, I mean, even after he was retired as an active wrestler, he was telling people that when he was an active wrestler, there was no distinguish. I mean, we didn't distinguish, there was no difference between martial arts and wrestling. What I was doing was real. That's how Inoki was telling the world. I don't know about the wrestling today, but what I was doing was pretty real back then. I mean, real. I mean, I don't know that the term real. The life is
but
real.
The nuance to it, there's a deeper nuance to it, and there's there's a spirit to it too. It's a way.
Yeah.
It's a way of living your life.
Yeah. And after Muhammad Ali fight, then Inoki started running the series of, mixed martial arts fight that, Inoki against, the Monster Man, Everett Eddie, or the Chuck Wepner, of course, that the Kim Croquet, that the karate fighter, the kickboxer, to judoka, to
Ruska.
William Ruska was actually before Muhammad Ali fight, but William Ruska, and it was when Inoki had this mixed martial arts fight, it was not on Friday night wrestling program. Whenever Inoki had this mixed martial arts fight, it was like a primetime special on Wednesday night or something, aside from your regular Friday night wrestling. So people thought, tonight's Inoki, he does different thing. It's wrestling, of course, but treated differently. Inoki against this kickboxer, Inoki against judoka, Inoki against this karate guy, that 7:30 to 9 o'clock, 90-minute network program, like special program. It's like Friday night wrestling is great, but when Inoki does this mixed martial arts fight, it's like even more special. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they did that for the Ali fight was 1976, and Inoki's series of mixed martial arts fight was all the way to like 79, 80. That the last one was a Kyokushin Karate Willie Williams. Yeah. That was like very, of course, believable is one thing, but Kyokushin Karate School against Shin-Nihon, New Japan Shin-Nihon Pro Wrestling, they're two different schools, There's take pride to, like, what you're doing is like the best of martial arts, right? Yeah. And also, there's a picture, interesting photo, that the week before Inoki Ali fight, I told you about the one, at the Korakuen Hall, there's a practice TV, like Inoki's, filming, working out, and Ali shows up, what he did was just jumping ropes, not that much, But Muhammad Ali was kind of like a professional wrestler, like that. He and Inoki walked towards each other and face off, like they were gonna fight, right? They weren't gonna do it, but like a promo purpose, of course. Muhammad Ali walked right into Inoki, and Inoki face off. There's a photo. What's interesting is that the wrestlers, Japanese young wrestlers, who's like holding, Ali and Inoki, not to fight, holding it. It is young Killer Khan, the young Fujiwara, the young Satoru Sayama. It's all in the photo. Inoki and TV Asahi people and just couple, and also Inoki's then wife Mitsuko
Mhm.
Baisho, like the biggest movie actress at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, yeah, Mitsuko Baisho, and Inoki's the Ken Tajima was Inoki's number one interpreter.
Mm.
And it's basically TV Asahi people, not like Fujiwara or anybody like that. Yeah, but for the workout, TV show week before the match, Ali showing doing jump rope, Inoki's doing like a little sparring session with Fujiwara or Musamu Kido or Kengo Kimura. But who was around the ring was that this 18-year-old Satoru Sayama years before Tiger Mask, right?
Mhm.
And big, huge Masashi Osawa year before he was Killer Khan, stopping the fight. And Fujiwara, nobody knew who he was then, right? But like samurai, like a Kagemusha kind of guy,
Mhm.
right? And all these, that New Japan T-shirt, top and bottom, younger fighter, then all became somebody, you know. So it's really interesting to see what's in that for old photo.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that it's 48 years later, it's like looking back the history pieces, who was in that environment then. Yeah. Young Lion Satoru Sayama. Can you imagine that?
Uh, I I can, because I think being at Inoki's side for that, I'm sure it inspired something in Sayama to become who he
Yeah. Yeah. And then
became.
also, yeah, and he was, wrestling fan growing up, but Satoru Sayama's another hero was always Bruce Lee,
Mhm. And that was
Yeah.
that was big in Hollywood in general in the 70s, was Bruce
Yeah.
Lee and
Yeah.
Kung Fu,
Of
the
course.
explosion of Kung
Oh,
Fu
yeah.
all over the
Yeah.
States,
Yeah.
in the theaters too.
Oh, in Japan
Japan,
too. In
all
Japan
over the
too.
globe. It was a
Yeah.
global thing.
And when the biggest movie, the Enter the Dragon came, he was already dead. You
Right?
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was made it even more mysterious. Yeah. But that was like every year when the June 26th comes, you can't help but think about this Inoki Muhammad Ali fight.
Mhm.
Well, I was ninth grade, but it was one of the biggest thing as a kid, growing up. I was ninth grade, so not a little kid, but not adult, but I like a 15-year-old guy. I mean, trying to figure out what the wrestling is or what the Muhammad Ali Inoki fight would be, and you really watched it real time, like a live feed, and didn't understand quite a bit, but
I don't think
it
anybody did.
was
It
like,
was all new. It was very.
and the most people were disappointed because it looked like nothing happening fight, right?
Hmm.
Then I was not all that disappointed like most people, but it was like I was puzzled. Why didn't Inoki do this? Why didn't Muhammad Ali do this? Why didn't he do this and why didn't he do that? You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't,
The
you know?
rules were like straitjackets for both of them. They couldn't do anything.
More on Inoki part,
It
Yeah.
was something that didn't really favor the fans. It was more of saving face for everybody
Because they
in
were
the ring.
expecting a big backdrop or big suplex or drop kicking or Ali punching and Inoki chopping something,
Hmm.
right? But it was very, very exciting, just like something that you can be proud of to be wrestling fan.
Hmm.
But Inoki didn't lose, did he?
Well, I believe it was there was a book in English by Josh Gross, and there was a statistic of him that I forget the name of the outlet, but they did a statistic where they went to a website and registered how many what we call significant strikes in MMA and boxing statistics these days. I think Ali, it was about 9 punches he threw and connected with 4, and
Altogether.
altogether, and it was Inoki, he the total of like 78 kicks
Kicks to the
and
knee.
connected with
Yeah.
like 40 something, 47 or
Yeah.
something like that. So if you gave it to an MMA or boxing judge today, you'd have to say
Today,
Inoki won.
Inoki won.
Yes.
Yeah. but that's MMA,
or boxing or
But
anything. But combat
yeah,
sports evolved from that point. Is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, and almost as a wrestler, like we're wrestling fans, right, and wrestling people.
Yeah.
That winning and losing almost isn't as important. That that match took place that time is very important. Yeah, because that they could cancel it, right?
Mhm.
Like so much promo and everything else that people dreamed of having Inoki and Ali in the same ring and actually having them imagine all these things that it that like almost didn't happen. That Inoki and his people really worked so hard to not let Ali's people pack up and leave. You know, and Ali was all ready to walk in the ring. Because oh, I'll handle it. I'll handle it.
Mhm.
I mean, like a crazy Muhammad Ali against crazy Antonio Inoki, like a two genius. You know, that the Inoki entourage, Ali entourage, right? But those were two actually be in the ring.
Mm.
They were the king that night. Yeah. So that's like as we grow older, I think we understand this whole thing much better.
I think as MMA grows, as pro wrestling and boxing grow, this was an important point. You can learn a lot from studying just this one match. I mean, there were books written on just this one event. So,
Oh, in Japan,
oh,
yeah,
in
books and
English,
books been
English,
written,
yeah,
yeah. English too,
especially
yeah,
about Ali's career. A lot of boxing literature or journalism out there. There's a lot of coverage of this era.
yeah. Inoki, yeah, the Ali did something crazy and
Well,
unthinkable.
lots of
Yeah,
different
yeah,
perspectives because media people in boxing. There he is. Great shot.
yeah. But this is DVD that I'm gonna watch it one more time, probably.
You can survive all 15
you know,
rounds. It's pretty brutally boring
yeah, I can.
after a while.
No, it's not boring at all. Every second is pretty
Mhm.
important. I watch it very carefully. Because it's like boxing, basically 3 minute. There's a counting. And it's like it's really tight. No, I mean boring moment for me.
There were a lot of people in the crowd, I remember from watching the video of it, that were starting to shout towards the end, weren't they?
Boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
but those were uneducated audience then.
I think most
Yeah.
people were uneducated still back then.
Yeah, right. Educated. Yeah, and then expected something like a full contact fight. And did you know the ringside, the most expensive ticket was like a 300,000 yen at the
Right.
time?
Yeah. Oh, and the
Like a
sponsors got it. Yeah.
yeah, but the 3,000 yen. I mean, now the WrestleMania is like ringside tickets is inflated, way too expensive. But 1976, 300,000 yen, like you have like $3,000 for ringside ticket. That's outrageous then. Yeah.
It was a high status occasion. Everything about it was
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
status.
Mm-hmm.
So it had that. I think that also gave it that feeling of being more than just a regular show or just a wrestling match or a boxing match.
Yeah, it wasn't a wrestling show.
It
No,
was a
no.
global event,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. Something crazy.
something like
And
that.
I'm glad, I watched it as a kid, Now that you have to go back and watch the old video or just kind of talk about it or study what was happening then. But it was like the whole just buzz was in Japan,
Mm,
really, at the time. Yeah. And I remember that, really well.
mm.
It's been 48 years. I can still talk about it.
There's so much there's
Yeah.
so much we could extrapolate from it. I think maybe next year we should
Yeah.
talk. Let's talk about it again next year, June 26th.
Yeah. And I'll probably watch, this, DVD probably two more times until then.
I'll have to revisit
Yeah.
it myself then at your word. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Because it's not boring. Really. It's not anymore. And for some people who don't like this, MMA thing or the mixed fight or, just a lot of older wrestling fans almost had this preconceiving notion that it'd be boring. Oh gosh, I can't stand it.
Because
Right?
I think
And
that you have to study it.
people prejudice.
That's all correct and for sure. But I also think you can't watch it for like entertainment value. You have to study it for a lot. You get a lot more out of it if you watch it really
Yeah.
seriously. I mean, some people don't want to do that. That's the free time; they can do whatever they want. But that's just you need to.
Well, the today's today's wrestling audience or the younger generation people, they cannot sit through 2 hour
We're
movie,
living
right?
in a different world. It's too. That's
Yeah,
asking
it's
a
like
lot. That's
I
asking a
mean,
lot.
even the new movies, you go into YouTube, they give you a 10 minute, like a 10 minute clip of the new
Mm-hmm.
movies that's out there now. They cannot sit through 2 hour movies, so they watch this 10 minute clip of the somebody came up with this 10 minute clip of the movie, and
Like
then
a
it
preview.
felt like you watched the whole thing,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you felt like you watched. I mean, you think you know everything about
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
but yeah, but you know, for longer match, like was it WrestleMania 12 then that
Hmm.
Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels 1 hour
Iron Man
match,
match.
and after 60 minutes they go into sudden death for another 6 minutes
Hmm.
or something, and I don't think I felt that was long. It was like I enjoyed the entire
A
match.
lot of people complain about that one, but it's for different crowds, different tastes, different crowds.
Yeah,
I love them as one of my
I
favorites.
recently rewatched. I recently watched 1957 Luthez against Ricky
Hmm.
Dawson 61-minute
It's
fight.
great.
Yeah, it's really really good match. 1957 Korakuen Stadium, 60 minute. 60 minute no fall. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Not one fall, but it was like a really good build up of the
Hmm.
match. I guess you have to be like really mature, to watch
Well,
60-minute
I
match,
mean,
huh?
you got to think about it now. There are so many new fans getting into it, and I'm just thinking about it a lot because it's been 20 years from being 20. I'm going to be 40 soon, so I'm thinking about the past 20 years a lot and how so much has just popped up within 20 years to keep
Yeah,
up with
yeah,
everything. It's just I don't know where you start. So it's a I understand it's a
yeah. But
hard
your
ask
your
people.
brain your brain's a lot more mature than 20 years
Of
ago.
course. Yeah, of course.
Okay, go back and watch Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels one
That's
hour
one of my
WrestleMania.
all-time that's a favorite match of mine.
Oh, was it? Oh,
But
good. Really
I'm
good
trying
one.
to speak. As we're on the show, I have to speak for like the general. There's a general population out there. Quite a few people don't like
Yeah,
that match. I am aware of that. And for the
yeah. Well,
same
you
reason,
can't make them like it,
because we all cultivated different tastes growing up where we
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
and
But the good wrestling match is good wrestling match. That hasn't been changed much. You know, there's a Antonio Inoki, Dory Funk Jr. title match, 60 minute. That's also 60 minute
yeah,
match, really good. You know,
Inoki, Billy Robinson.
that's 60 minute too. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's pretty.
That's
I mean, really good.
that is something that ages every year. It looks better and more realistic and
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, it's not boring.
No
It's not boring.
way.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
yeah, it's
a
good though,
lot of
right?
people can't get they're they're not there. They're not
Not
ready.
like a less
It's
high
it's too
spots.
well because it's not as immediately gratifying. And I
Okay.
mean, there's a style.
Not as immediate
I
gratifying. Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
with pro wrestling that we're talking about that we love, like I just covered a blood sport on the Observer website. That is most in line with the style of wrestling I think we're talking about today. Is that trying to fight in a way that would be realistic in reality or our world? Would this actually work?
Yeah.
And I think that goes
Yeah.
or connects to Inoki's mindset.
Yeah. I guess some of the wrestling fans are not looking for reality.
No, they're looking for a fantasy in a fantasy version of the more recent modern pro wrestling that's been out there for 40 years.
Or the match look just like your video game.
I mean, yeah, there's like a formula for in a lot of new style matches that kind of it gets more and more condensed every couple of years. The length
Yeah.
of it.
One more 60-minute match that's on video is the 1995 Manami Toyota against Kyoko Inoue 60-minute match.
I believe
that's on
I
video.
think 95 was also when Kobashi and Kawada had a 60-minute match.
Oh, okay.
94,
okay.
95, it's kind of famous.
Then Kawada against Kobashi 60 minutes sound like a non-stop match then. Because their stamina is good, you know?
I can't remember the venue, but I remember because it was one of the first cassette tapes that I owned a long time ago when
cassette tapes?
VHS. But you know, usually talking about tape trading for a moment, you would sometimes get a tape that would have 2 hours length or maybe 3 hours length or 1 hour. This match was so long that it would often fill up most of a cassette tape. That was the Japanese videos. The matches were longer, so it would be one tape with one match. So it's easy for me to remember because I remember it like an object. But again, that's neither here nor there. That's another one of these 60-minute great matches that people should take the time to watch and just enjoy. It's hard. We're distracted.
I mean, beyond what generation?
Just simply study everything that's going on. I think sometimes it's hard to ask. I mean, people find it difficult. It's not enough. I don't know.
Okay. So today we talked about Muhammad Ali, Antonio Inoki, 1976, June 26th match. Mm-hmm. You know, and, Muhammad Ali passed away, 2016? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Antonio Inoki passed 2 years ago, 2022. And both, kings are gone. But we will be talking about Inoki Muhammad Ali fight, periodically, that let's do that every year.
I think so. Yeah. And there's 2 more years until the 50. So I think there's a lot more that we can talk about too. There's a lot
that also made Inoki famous in America. Is before I forget, if you remember the Bad News Bear movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad News Bear go to Japan.
He had a cameo.
And Inoki, not the cameo, but the couple important scenes that Inoki as a martial arts champion. Yeah. So Hollywood, wanted Inoki too then. Yeah.
And of course, that's where Inoki got his theme song that we often hear. I mean, this is connected to Ali. This is from Ali, right? Ali.
Oh, Ali Bombaye, Inoki Bombaye. Yeah.
So.
Ali gave him that.
So what? So So the chant was from the Rumble in the Jungle, the match he had with Foreman and Zaire.
Ali Bomaye, Ali Bomaye.
That was the local language for saying Ali, kill him, Ali, kill him.
Yeah,
fight, but not as crazy sounding as that. And then he kind of took it for his own after the Ali match, and it's that group. It's a great funk group, Mandrill. They did the recorded version of Ali Bomaye, which is also used for Inoki.
Ali,
but Mandrill, yes,
because Ali gave him that music, and from that point on, it became Inoki Bomaye, and he played the song until his passing. Yeah,
so
very important.
You could see how these little things get passed on, and how they survive generations.
Also, Inoki, Muhammad Ali, as great as he was, Inoki, great as he was, he became equal. Yeah. So that was, very, very historical, important. I mean, a lot of things came out of that. Yeah.
I mean, we could probably talk just about also, MMA, how it affected MMA only. You know what I mean?
And the type of person who would do unthinkable, thinkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then make impossible possible. The kind of person they were.
All right.
Okay.
So.
And we should do the questionnaire show, question shows.
We're going to get to those soon.
Yeah. And also, we'll be releasing a lot of archives from now on.
Yeah, keep checking back.
Antonio Inoki episodes, Misawa episodes, the Keiji Muto episode. What else?
Baba.
I can't remember. We did a lot.
I know that from my end, I just found a couple of actually more than a couple of older
In old
episodes.
computer.
Yeah, from another drive. So the full Inoki series, I think that's 5 parts.
5 episodes.
Giant Baba,
Giant Baba 3 episodes.
Rikidozan is up there already that you can find out on YouTube or,
Yeah.
or our archive on Podbean. All kinds. Oh, there's. I have to sift through them.
Keijimuto, Masacho.
Show No 3 Musketeers, Johnny Powers, Dick Murdoch, Adrian Adonis, Funks, Hansen, 2 episodes on Hansen, 2 episodes on Jumbo.
Bruiser Brody?
No, not yet. You didn't want to do it.
Okay.
You didn't want to do it. You wanted to wait.
I did.
You wanted to wait.
Bruiser Brody episode. Yeah, okay, because I have to organize my thought.
No, we're still waiting. That'll be a special one, but we could do that anytime.
Yeah, because July,
right?
July 17th, or in Japanese calendar, July 18th is Bruiser Brody Memorial. So, let's talk about Brody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could talk about that and our interviews with Medusa and Debbie Malenko, X-Pac, Sean Waltman. Everything's available. There's a lot of good stuff, and there's a lot more good stuff coming. So just keep an eye out. If you're watching on YouTube, just keep an eye out. Please subscribe, and there's a bell notification that will notify you when our new stuff is up. And if you hit that, it really helps the show kind of move up to other people's eyes, and then we get more views, and then ultimately can do more cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If people want to reach you outside of this, where can they reach you, Mr. Saito?
On X Twitter at Fumihiko Dayo, Fumihiko Dayo, Fumihiko Dayo, or just Fumi Saito on Facebook, and also on Instagram, Fumi Saito 2001, Fumi Saito no space 2001 on Instagram.
And on X or Twitter, I'm at Justin M. Nipper, KNIPPER. And you can email us if you have any questions on the show, or we have stuff coming up that we're going to talk about. Please email us. This is write that down at gmail.com. All right. So, good stuff coming your way.
Until then,
take it away.
So long from Tokyo.
That's a good one.